Chapter 1. Sonya Young was a household name after her stint on the popular reality show, Dealer Star. She was living the high life, attending luxurious events and enjoying all the perks of fame. Sonya Young was a household name after her stint on the popular reality show, Dealer Star. She was living the high life, attending luxurious events and enjoying all the perks of fame. But as quickly as her rise to fame had come, it seemed to disappear just as fast. After her 15 minutes of fame were up, Sonya found herself struggling to stay relevant in the ever-changing world of reality television. One day, as she sat alone in her lavish Hollywood Hills mansion, the reality of her situation hit her hard. She had been so caught up in the glitz and glamour of fame that she had neglected to plan for what came after. Feeling lost and unsure of what to do next, Sonya decided to reach out to an old friend for advice. She dialed the number she had long since memorized and waited anxiously for the familiar voice on the other end. "Hello," the voice greeted her. "Hey, it's me, Sonya," she replied. "Sonya, it's been ages since I've heard from you. How have you been?" the voice asked, concern evident in their tone. Sonya took a deep breath before launching into her story. She spoke of her time on Dealer Star, the highs and lows of fame, and the uncertainty she now faced. After listening intently, her friend offered some sage advice. "Sonya, fame may be fleeting, but that doesn't mean it's the end of the road for you. Use this as an opportunity to reinvent yourself, to discover what truly brings you joy and fulfillment." Her friend's words resonated with Sonya, and she knew what she needed to do. She set out to explore new opportunities, taking on different projects and delving into her passions outside of the spotlight. Slowly but surely, Sonya began to find her footing again. She learned to appreciate the simple joys in life and the importance of staying true to herself, no matter what the world may throw her way. Her journey was far from easy, but Sonya knew that she was on the right path. And in the end, she realized that true fulfillment came not from fame and fortune, but from following her heart and embracing the challenges that came her way. Chapter 2. However, after being fired from the show due to her reckless behavior and diva attitude, Sonya's life took a downward spiral. She tried to maintain her lifestyle by going out and expecting free meals and drinks everywhere she went. After Sonya's abrupt dismissal from the show due to her erratic behavior and demanding attitude, her once glamorous life quickly unraveled. No longer the idolized star she once was, Sonya found herself struggling to maintain the extravagant lifestyle she had become accustomed to. Desperate to cling onto her diminishing fame, Sonya resorted to bringing up her fleeting 15 minutes of fame in every conversation, hoping to solicit sympathy or a free meal or drink. Everywhere she went, she would boast about her former glory days, hoping to garner attention or special treatment. One evening, Sonya walked into a trendy bar in downtown LA, expecting to be greeted with the same adoration and VIP treatment as before. However, she was met with cold indifference from the patrons and staff alike. Undeterred, Sonya sauntered up to the bar, flashing a fake smile to the bartender. "Hey, remember me? I used to be on that reality show everyone loved," Sonya declared, hoping to elicit some recognition. The bartender glanced up from polishing a glass, unimpressed. "Sorry, doesn't ring a bell. What can I get you?" Frustrated by the lack of acknowledgement, Sonya decided to play her trump card. "I should be getting free drinks here, don't you know who I am?" The bartender raised an eyebrow, unimpressed by her entitled tone. "Sorry, we don't do handouts here. You'll have to pay like everyone else." Defeated and humiliated, Sonya reluctantly ordered a water and slumped into a nearby booth. As she sat alone, nursing her drink, she couldn't help but feel a pang of bitterness and regret. Her reckless behavior had cost her everything: her career, her reputation, and now, even her dignity. She realized that her 15 minutes of fame had come and gone, leaving her with nothing but a hollow sense of emptiness. In that moment of reflection, Sonya knew that she had hit rock bottom. It was time to face the harsh reality of her situation, to pick up the pieces of her shattered life and start anew. With a newfound sense of determination, she vowed to reinvent herself, to let go of her past mistakes and carve out a fresh path for herself. For the first time in a long time, Sonya felt a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. Maybe, just maybe, this downfall was the push she needed to rise from the ashes and find true redemption. It was time to leave behind her diva attitude and reckless behavior, and finally embrace the person she was truly meant to be. Chapter 3. Sonya's behavior alienated her from her former castmates, who grew tired of her entitled attitude. They distanced themselves from her, leaving Sonya feeling isolated and alone. Sonya Young had always dreamed of becoming a famous actress. She worked tirelessly, auditioning for any role she could find, and finally, her big break came when she landed a lead role in a popular television show. Sonya was ecstatic when the show became a hit, and she basked in the limelight of her newfound fame. But as time went on, Sonya's behavior began to change. She became arrogant and entitled, believing that she was better than her fellow castmates. She started to make demands on set, expecting special treatment and attention. Her diva-like attitude rubbed her co-stars the wrong way, and they began to grow tired of her behavior. One by one, Sonya's former friends on set distanced themselves from her. They no longer wanted to spend time with someone who acted like they were above everyone else. The once tight-knit group now felt strained, with Sonya on the outside looking in. Feeling isolated and alone, Sonya tried to reach out to her castmates, but they were no longer interested in being around her. She was left to navigate the world of fame on her own, realizing that her entitled attitude had cost her the very relationships that had once brought her joy. One evening, Sonya found herself at a party surrounded by her former castmates. She approached them, hoping to mend fences and reconnect. "Hey guys, can we talk for a minute?" Sonya asked, trying to sound friendly. Her co-stars exchanged uncomfortable glances before one of them spoke up. "Sonya, we need to talk. Your behavior has been alienating us, and we can't continue to be around someone who acts like they're better than us." Sonya's heart sank as she realized the extent of the damage she had caused. She had let her ego and sense of entitlement drive a wedge between her and the people she had once considered friends. "I'm sorry," Sonya whispered, her voice filled with regret. "I didn't realize how my behavior was affecting all of you. I let the fame get to my head, and I lost sight of what truly matters." Her castmates listened as Sonya apologized and promised to change her ways. They could see the sincerity in her words, but they also knew that rebuilding trust would take time. As the night wore on, Sonya felt a sense of lightness in her heart. She had finally come to terms with her mistakes and was ready to make amends. She knew that it wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to earn back the respect and friendship of her former castmates. From that moment on, Sonya worked hard to humble herself and treat others with the kindness and respect they deserved. Slowly but surely, she began to regain the trust and camaraderie of her co-stars. It was a long and challenging journey, but Sonya's newfound humility and genuine apology had bridged the gap that she had created with her entitled behavior. She learned the valuable lesson that fame was fleeting, but true friendships were priceless. And with her newfound perspective, Sonya was able to rebuild the relationships that had once meant so much to her. Chapter 4. With her fame quickly fading and her bank account dwindling, Sonya desperately tried to stay relevant by booking gigs at local clubs as a stand-up comedian. However, her performances were poorly received, and her once adoring fans started to turn on her. Chapter 4. The rise and fall of Sonya Young. Sonya Young had once been the talk of the town, with her infectious personality and witty sense of humor making her a rising star in the entertainment industry. However, as quickly as she had risen to fame, she found herself slipping into obscurity just as fast. Desperate to stay relevant and keep her bank account from dwindling to nothing, Sonya had turned to performing stand-up comedy at local clubs. But her once adoring fans were no longer laughing at her jokes, and the critics were tearing her performances apart. After yet another disappointing performance at a dingy club downtown, Sonya found herself sitting alone at the bar, nursing a watered-down cocktail and staring into the abyss of her own failure. She couldn't believe how quickly her fame had faded, and she felt the weight of disappointment heavy on her shoulders. "Hey, Sonya," a familiar voice called out to her from across the bar. She looked up to see an old friend, Sarah, approaching with a sympathetic smile on her face. "Hey, Sarah," Sonya replied, forcing a smile of her own. "Long time no see." "Yeah, I heard you were doing stand-up now," Sarah said, taking a seat next to her. "How's that going for you?" Sonya let out a bitter laugh. "Not great, as you can probably tell. Seems like my 15 minutes of fame are well and truly over." "I'm sorry to hear that," Sarah said, placing a comforting hand on Sonya's arm. "But hey, at least you're still out there trying. That's more than a lot of people can say." Sonya sighed, feeling a surge of gratitude for her friend's support. "Thanks, Sarah. I just don't know what to do next. I feel like I've hit rock bottom." "Well, maybe it's time to reassess your priorities," Sarah suggested. "Do you really want to keep chasing fame and fortune, or is there something else that makes you happy?" Sonya pondered her friend's words, realizing that she had been so caught up in the whirlwind of fame that she had lost sight of what truly mattered to her. "You know what, you're right. Maybe it's time for a change of direction." Sarah nodded in approval. I'm here for you, no matter what you decide. Just remember that your worth isn't determined by how many people know your name or how much money you have in the bank. Sonya nodded, feeling a sense of clarity wash over her. Maybe it was time to let go of the spotlight and focus on finding happiness in the things that truly mattered. And with Sarah by her side, she knew she could face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the night wore on, Sonya and Sarah shared stories and laughter, reminiscing about the good times they had shared before fame had come between them. And as they said their goodbyes at the end of the night, Sonya knew that no matter what the future held, she had a true friend in Sarah who would always have her back. And with a newfound sense of purpose and determination, Sonya left the club that night with a smile on her face, ready to embark on a new chapter in her life, one that was filled with hope, friendship, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Chapter 5. In the end, Sonya was left with nothing but regrets and bitterness. Her rise to fame was short-lived, and her fall from grace was swift. She was a cautionary tale of what happens when fame and fortune are not handled with gratitude and humility. Sonya Young's story ended in tragedy, with no one left to remember her name. Chapter 5. In the end, Sonya was left with nothing but regrets and bitterness. Her rise to fame was short-lived, and her fall from grace was swift. She was a cautionary tale of what happens when fame and fortune are not handled with gratitude and humility. Sonya Young's story ended in tragedy, with no one left to remember her name. After her 15 minutes of fame had passed, Sonya found herself alone and abandoned by those who had once surrounded her. Her former friends and fans had moved on to the next big thing, leaving her to wallow in self-pity and despair. As she sat in her empty apartment, surrounded by the remnants of her fleeting success, Sonya couldn't help but feel a sense of profound emptiness. The once vibrant and confident young woman was now a shadow of her former self, consumed by bitterness and regret. What have I done? She thought to herself, tears streaming down her face. How did I let it all slip away so quickly? In a moment of clarity, Sonya realized that her downfall had been of her own making. She had let the fame and adulation go to her head, believing herself to be untouchable and invincible. But as quickly as she had risen to the top, she had come crashing back down to reality. Feeling utterly defeated, Sonya reached out to an old friend for help. Sarah had been by her side since they were kids, and Sonya knew she could count on her for support and guidance. Sarah, I don't know what to do, Sonya said tearfully over the phone. I've lost everything, and I don't know how to pick up the pieces. Sarah listened patiently as Sonya poured out her heart, offering words of comfort and reassurance. You may have lost everything material, but you still have yourself, Sarah said gently. You have the chance to start anew, to learn from your mistakes and become a better person because of them. Sonya felt a glimmer of hope at Sarah's words, realizing that perhaps all was not lost. She made a vow to herself to change her ways, to humble herself and appreciate the opportunities that came her way. In the days that followed, Sonya worked tirelessly to rebuild her life. She took on humble jobs to make ends meet, seeking solace in the simple pleasures of life that she had once taken for granted. Slowly but surely, Sonya began to find peace within herself. She let go of the bitterness that had consumed her and embraced a newfound sense of gratitude and humility. Years passed, and Sonya's name faded into obscurity. But she didn't mind, for she had found true happiness and fulfillment in living a life of humility and gratitude. In the end, Sonya Young's story may have been one of tragedy and loss, but it was also a story of redemption and growth. And though her name may have been forgotten by the world, those who knew her remembered her as a testament to the power of humility and gratitude in the face of adversity.